Hello and welcome to this edition of the Colonial Group's Coffee Break webinar series. My name is Wendy Woodtrain. I am in the marketing department here at the Colonial Group, and today I'm going to give you some updates on our Vacant program. We'll begin the webinar by just reviewing some of the product, and then we will talk specifically about Diamond State and even have an opportunity to go in and do a couple of demos for you. Would it surprise you if I told you that the vacancy rate in the United States was 14.3% at the end of the second quarter in 2011? That's what the Census Bureau reports. As a matter of fact, that comes up to 18 million vacant homes. There are a lot of myths associated with vacant homes and vacant insurance coverage. We wanted to talk about a few of them. The first one involves higher value homes. And the fact is that homes priced at $500,000 or more are just as likely to be empty as homes that cost under $100,000. The vacancy rate for older homes is only about 2%. However, homes built in the last decade have a vacancy rate of higher than 9%. And the last myth has to do with the cost of vacant coverage. While it is more expensive than a homeowner's policy, the cost of vacant coverage has actually decreased by up to 60% since 2005. So whether you're looking for coverage for a vacant home, one undergoing renovation, or a builder's risk, whether it's a 1 to 4 family residence, a mobile home, or a condo unit, we have Vacant options for you. Vacant is actually the fastest growing product here at the Colonial Group, and we do consider it to be one of our flagship products. You have access to fast and easy comparative rating via FastApp 2.0, which is our web-based comparative rater, or using our single sign-on technology to directly access carrier systems like Diamond State Group's new Vacant Express or ModernLink. And with 4 major vacant carriers, you have access to companies who provide the most competitive choices in coverage and in pricing. On top of that, you can give your customers the peace of mind that comes with a financially stable carrier. And today, I think that's more important than it ever has been before. All of our carriers do have at least an A rating from AM Best. And of course, you have our team here at the Colonial Group. We're ready to assist you whether you have questions about the product or whether you would like us to do the quote for you. I'd like to focus a little bit on the Diamond State product simply because that's where the majority of the changes are right now. In addition to 1 to 4 family homes, Diamond State will also write mobile and modular homes, individual condo units, and townhomes. They also offer vacant commercial coverage. However, we do recommend contacting our commercial unit for assistance with any vacant commercial building. Acceptable exposures are vacant, renovations, and builder's risk. Diamond State coverage is written on a CP 1010 basic form, and this is one of the exciting new things. Beginning October 1, a special form will also be offered. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a moment. This program is direct bill and offers quarterly payment plans on their 6 and 12-month term policies with no installment fees. That will save your customer a little bit through the term of the policy. They also offer renewal term refunds on a pro rata basis, even on a 3-month policy. So for the initial term, you have a minimum of 3 months premium that's earned, whether it's the 3, 6, or 12-month term policy. And then on subsequent terms, you get all of the unearned premium refunded in the event that you sell the home, or occupy the home, I guess. Diamond State is admitted in all of our states. That means no taxes, no fees, and if you're in North Carolina, it means no Form F. And policies always include vandalism and malicious mischief. Glass breakage is excluded. You don't have to worry about whether or not you remember to add the VMM with Diamond State. Windstorm coverage is also included, and that does mean there's some coastal limitations. North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, the risk must be located more than 20 miles from the coast. In Virginia, it's a little bit more lenient. The risk must be more than 5 miles from the coast. Valuation is on the ACV or agreed amount, Agreed amount is newly available, and it was a little confusing to me initially. I kept thinking stated value, but here's how the company wants us to look at it. If you purchased the property, or if your customer purchased the property within the past year, it should be insured to 100% of the purchase price or actual cash value, whichever is lower. In the event that you have selected the agreed amount, the coinsurance requirement is waived. Rating via Diamond State Group's new Vacant Express rating system with access from Fast App 2.0 as well as our dashboard using single sign-on will be available to you on October 1st. We have it internally now, so we can quote it for you now. That system will give you a premium estimate in about a minute, and I'll do a demo giving you a sneak peek a little bit later on. You also have access to policy information. That would be coverage and policyholder information primarily. They will include a copy of the latest billing in the document area where the policy forms are found. Now let's talk a little bit about the special form. It is available October 1 and is, of course, admitted. Theft coverage is excluded but can be bought back with proof of an active central alarm system. However, they will always exclude theft of alloys or metals. A heat and pipe draining warranty is required, and that essentially says that you agree to maintain the heat at either 60 degrees or to drain the pipes. Valuation is either actual cash value or agreed amount, and the eligibility requirements are really quite broad, I believe. The home must be under 30 years old, located in a protection class 1 through 7. It must have had continuous coverage or be a new purchase. It has to be vacant for less than 3 years, and there can be no losses on the premises within the past 3 years. Now I'd like to go ahead and do the demonstration for you. So we're going to go ahead and pull up the Colonial Group website at www.thecolonialgroup.com, enter our username and password, and that brings us up to our dashboard. Hopefully you're all familiar with the dashboard. We're going to scroll on down. There are actually 2 carousels, and my system may look slightly different than what you see simply because we are in a testing environment. Now, the first carousel that you're going to see is the rating applications for our internal programs, and then the customer systems, company systems are located on the bottom carousel. You can see Diamond State and Modern Link. We're going to scroll on up to the Vacant Fast App 2.0 and select that. And that will bring up Fast App 2.0, and if you were a part of the webinar back in April when we launched it, you know that we can provide a very quick rate on this. So we'll just select a 3-month term, and you can see that it's pre-filled all the agency information. We'll add the applicant name and email address, and now we'll just put in the property address, and that'll pre-fill the county and the city for you. We're going to scroll down and select the distance to coast, enter the square footage and the year built, select the protection class for the property, and the coverage type. And you'll notice that some of the columns have an option for an information bubble. That'll provide you some additional information if you do have any questions. We're going to select the vacant and a frame construction type. We'll leave it at $1,000 deductible that it defaults to, and we'll enter $150,000 here for the dwelling. There are liability options, and calculate the premium. And this quickly, we have a comparative rate between Lloyd's and Voyager. You see that you have the option to print a quote or to go ahead and complete the application. Now let's modify our quote a little bit and increase it up to $550,000, and calculate the premium. And what you'll see is that both Lloyd's and Voyager are now ineligible, and it tells us exactly why. Just in case there's an error, you can go back and correct it. But it also gives us access to a third carrier, Diamond State. So before we leave this screen, I do like to go ahead and save my quote. And that's simply because if we found out something that it would make it eligible for the Lloyd's or Voyager, we could modify the quote. We'd have it saved in order to do that. We're going to go ahead and select Diamond State, and it does give us the option to continue or to return to our previous quote. And of course, we're going to continue. And that will, using the single sign-on, log us in directly to the Vacant Express. It brings us into the in-tray. There's also a policy dashboard, and of course you can search for a policy or a quote. And on the far right side of the ribbon, it gives us the ability to do a new quote. And that will pre-fill all of the agency information, but I will select the producer and the product. Now again, this may look slightly different than what you see when it goes live, but it'll work essentially the same. I'm going to go ahead and click Start, and you'll see that the rating process is really about as quick as our Fast Step 2.0. Enter the name and the zip code. And then the location address. And the city. You can see it pre-filled the information that we had already selected on the previous screen. We're going to select vacant dwelling on a 3-month term. And of course we have the valuation options here, and we'll leave it at ACV. Now when we displayed all the different carriers, I think it showed that the maximum coverage available for Diamond State is now $5 million for property, and they also have a $1 million liability limit available. We'll select $500,000 and quote a single family home, and it's not a condominium. Now the Vacant Express system does validate the address, and it compares it to the Postal Service database, and you'd get another message if there was a problem, and like we did here. And then we have to use selected address. At this point, you click on Add Building to give the building information. If you have more than one building located at the property, and again it has to be located on the same property, but if we had an additional building, once we enter this information, we could click Add Building again and add that second building. That would be for maybe a detached garage or shed that's 100 feet away but on the same property. You have the option to add personal property. And now we'll go down and click Calculate Premium, and just that fast, we have a rate quote. You can see that there's no taxes or fees, and that's because, again, it is an admitted product. It does give us the choice to proceed to application, or we can create a premium estimate from here. If you click on this, it'll give us another option to print or view that premium estimate. Now, one important thing that I do want to show you, we don't have time to go through the application process today, but if you scroll back up on the left side, there's a policy action menu, and you do need to save your quote. I would say that Lloyd's and Voyager are still our go-to markets for Vacant using our Fast Step 2.0, but there's definitely some times you would want to go directly to the carrier. So we came up with some of those instances. We don't want you to have to enter information twice. So you would log on to our dashboard and then go down to the carrier carousel and select Diamond State Group. If you have to have an admitted carrier, or if you want to write the special form coverage, if the risk is a mobile home, condo unit, or townhome, if there are multiple buildings on the same location, if you're trying to insure property limits in excess of $500,000, and also if you want liability limits of $1 million. For American Modern, if you don't have photos available to you, you would select American Modern. If you have a rental dwelling and it's just temporarily vacant, For the short term, you can go into American Modern and write it not on their vacant program, but on their regular DP1 or DP3, and then select vacant occupancy. That will put a vacancy permission endorsement on the policy, and then once the home is occupied, you can have that removed and maintain that rental policy. That is not available at this time in North Carolina. American Modern also offers a property manager as additional insured in Tennessee. We get more and more calls for that, it seems like. And in Georgia, they offer equipment breakdown coverage. Now, if you have questions about exactly what that is, I would just recommend that you go to the Colonial Group channel on YouTube. We do have a webinar that was done by Priscilla a month or so ago on the equipment breakdown. And in Georgia and Tennessee, American Modern offers full repair on partial losses. Now, I previously mentioned that there is no billing information on the Vacant Express website except for the printout of the most recent bill found with the documents. If you do have specific billing questions or payment questions, you need to call the toll-free number on the screen. And this, it would be directly to the carrier simply because here at the Colonial Group, we don't have access to any more billing information than you do on the Vacant Express site. You can make a payment at vacantexpress.com with either a credit or debit card, and they also accept PayPal. You'll need the invoice number, policy number, and the policy period, so your customer will either need to have the invoice or you'll need to be able to pull that up from the Vacant Express program. For claims, they can be filed on the 800 number or by fax or by going to vacantexpress.com/claims and selecting the appropriate claim form. Now, access to make both payments and to file claims is outside any login, so it's accessible to both you and your customers. And that's all the information that we have for you today. I would like to emphasize that our eForms library is a significant help to you by providing quick reference guides. If you search by quick reference guide, you'll find an updated guide for each of our states. And while it doesn't replace an underwriting manual, it does give you a lot of really good information. Also, the static version of this webinar is available on our eForms library. You would just need to search by Coffee Break Webinar Series. And lastly, I'd like to offer that you can contact any of us in marketing if you would like a more in-depth presentation for your agency to include not only the information that you've seen, but also to go in more in-depth into the application process and the system functionality for policy inquiry. Thank you so much for attending this presentation of our Coffee Break webinar, and I hope you have a great day.